Hello, everyone. Welcome to Study Hall. This is your host, Aged Boomer. But how's everyone doing tonight? Hope you're not waiting on Troy. He had to run to the restroom, but that's okay. I'm gonna do this all by my lonesome. I'm gonna say hi to everybody. Okay. Let's see who's in the chat here. Okay, let me bring this up on YouTube too. But I think I saw Auditor Dread in there. I see Netter. Hi, Nanette. Let's see here. Big Al, welcome. Have a great stream. Artificer Joni, welcome. Brian Gilmartin, good to see you. Horizon Talker. Yeah, I think you're new. I think maybe you stopped by last week, though. Here we go. Let me raise up. Who else is here? Nanette, Horizon Talker, Brian Gilmartin. Okay. Well, let's see. And welcome. We got some stories to talk about tonight. All right. But I'm trying to think. Oh, it might have been good if I had shared this with the Professor Geek group. But that's neither here nor there. Okay. But Daniel Heron. Nope, not flying solo. Troy just had to run to the restroom. Okay. But we got some news to talk about tonight, and I'm trying to think, what do I have in our main headlines here? We have, I believe, the GameStop story, which I hope Troy has some insight on, because stocks are not my specialty. Hey, Wolf 10, welcome. And you guys should be tuning into Mr. Matchstick's channel on Friday night at 10. We're going to have a little bit of a panel going. More on that later. Jedi Master Zootopia, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. Actually, the one good thing about Troy not being here, I don't have to worry about echoing when I bring this up on YouTube. All right. This up. Actually, the one good thing about Troy. Except you just heard me there. Okay. Troy's probably still in the bathroom. But we do have some stories to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about Willow. Any Willow fans in the crowd tonight? Anyone? And Wolf 10 laughs in the face of YouTube. Aged Boomer and Aged Bladder, very funny. Yeah. I don't know. It's good. He's using the rest of it. He's drinking water. You drink lots of water. It's good for you. I love Willow too, Wolf 10. They're doing a series. We'll talk about that tonight. And let's see. Aged Boomer, I mean to ask, how many miles to the gallon do you get on your mower? Oh, 40. Does that sound right? I don't know. That's a John Deere. Man, Willow is a name I haven't heard in years. I did enjoy it. Here's Troy. Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Who are you talking to?
I'm here. You're on.
Okay.
You're live.
Hi. Oh, I'm live already?
What are you doing? I just added you.
I said give me 5 minutes and we're already live?
Yes, it's 9:04, dude.
This is really professional.
Do you need another minute? I'll kick you out and bring you back in. I'll just talk to the chat.
I'm sorry I took so long.
Whatever. Here, you want to know what I'm sipping on?
Yes.
It's called Watermelon Fruit Juice Cocktail by Arizona, which is not actually made in Arizona. I'm going to pop it. Look at that, huh?
And when you say cocktail, is it an adult cocktail?
No, it's not an adult cocktail. I work in the morning.
Oh, crap. Well, so do I, but I don't care.
I don't know. I had hard cider, but it got drunk by somebody else.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just feel like some of these topics that we talk about, I need an adult beverage.
Maybe next week I'll have an adult beverage. How's that sound?
Fair enough.
I'll make sure.
Or we maybe need to move it to Friday nights or something.
No, Friday nights. I have a crap work schedule right now. It will change at some point, but I mean, it's. I'm happy to be working, so I'm not complaining, and it's a good job. But things are. Oh, I'm looking at my wall. I got an Outlaw Josie Wales poster on the wall. Okay, I got a replica in the mail, so
nice.
I'm going all Clint Eastwood now. Okay, Clint Eastwood's what I need right now in my life. Okay, because
Yep.
everything else has kind of gone to pop. But anyway, in the world. But that's the thing. Any of you in the audience, you need some reaffirming during these dark times. Watch some Clint Eastwood movies. It'll help you out. Okay.
I gotta say, I love Clint Eastwood. One of my favorite movies is a Clint Eastwood movie. And
you mentioned that it's not
Do you
When Eagles
remember?
Dare, it's the other one. Heartbreak something.
Heartbreak Ridge, yeah.
Heartbreak Ridge, yes.
Netter and I have been talking about doing a rewatch of that for a while now. I may kind of, because I've turned over this year to her. She's the one choosing the rewatches on our nights, but I may push her to move Heartbreak Ridge up in the queue.
Okay. Oh, Joshua V's here. Hi guys. Hello. Schooner Tuna. Yeah, I'm realizing I don't know how many people were in the chat. I realized, I should have posted that this was going to be on in the Professor V group.
Oh yeah,
I usually do that each week. I usually post
Well, I thought you were going to take the time to do that while I was going to the bathroom.
Oh well, I can do it now. Never mind. We're just going to go live. We'll see who pops in. Okay, let's see how many people are here already.
Just while everyone else
17. That's not bad. Okay,
because you said what you were sipping on. I'm sipping on same drink I had last night during the rewatch. I call it the Pirate's Last Stand. If you do a Google search for a drink called Pirate's Last Call, it's basically a rum and cherry Coke with muddled maraschino cherries. I never drink anything with maraschino cherries. I think maraschino cherries are anathema. They should not exist in this world. So instead of maraschino cherries, I have canned black, dark, sweet cherries, muddled, macerated with Kraken spiced rum and diet cherry cola. And it makes me happy, and it should be an interesting stream.
you don't like maraschino cherries. I used to have them on ice cream when I was a kid.
Do a YouTube search about how maraschino cherries are made, and
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Never have maraschino cherries.
What are they? Is it the leftover slop from when the pigs are pounding the wine or something?
No. Maraschino cherries require bleaching and artificial coloring, and then they are in quotes pickled in a sweet syrup, and they're barely cherries anymore.
Okay, are they FDA approved?
There's a lot of things that are FDA
well,
approved.
That's fine then. Okay,
that should not be consumed.
Okay, but
margarine was FDA approved for a long time. Well, now, it still is technically.
Now, I did make a point that we're gonna go ahead and open the stream with the first story, which was the GameStop. I'm doing what's her name was doing. I said GameStop. So I did pick a random article. It was the from Marcus. Are you keeping apprised of this GameStop story?
I am.
Right.
I very
thank
much
you.
am.
Good, because I'm getting a little lost by it. I did read this article.
Do you need me to kind of give a background on it?
Well, I can read. I'll read from this article. Hold on. Let me just bring up. Oh, I forgot. I have so many notes here because, of course, we did a pre-show. You can always check it out on my Rumble channel too, where we talk about some of the Star Wars news.
Yes, you should. Okay. You should definitely plug that. Make sure everyone knows what we talked about. That they're missing out if they don't go check that out.
Yes. Now, like I say, I'm hoping Rumble's eventually going to be doing streaming at some point. But like I said, I want to get as many followers over there as here before I even try and attempt to do a live stream on there. But I do have this article here. This is from markets at businessinsider.com. Short sellers are nursing estimated losses of $19 billion in 2021 after betting on GameStop's stock to plunge.
Okay, that in fairness, I can see where that would be difficult to say.
I was making fun of what's her name, the one I sent you the video of. She was talking about this, and she kept doing the same thing, and I'm like, Oh, come on. You can't say GameStop and then no, this is why you can't, because stock is right after it. Okay. Here's
Who's
some
that? Was
bullet.
it Geeky Sparkles or was it
No, it
Mecha
wasn't Geeky
Random?
Sparkles. It was no, it was what's her name? The woman you like. I forget. I forget her name now.
Nanette?
Then that, yeah, then that. Well, then that should do a video on this. Okay. Shorts. I think she's Australian. She has a slight accent. Anyway, okay. Anyway, she talks. Never mind. Short sellers. Here's the bullets. Okay, short sellers have lost about 19.
Oh, you mean Daisy Cousins?
No,
No.
never mind. We'll talk. We're wasting time on this. Let's start it over again. So when I'm editing this,
Daisy Cousins is awesome, though. You should really be
but
checking her out.
she probably lives in the same neighborhood. Okay, I don't remember what her name was. Okay, short sellers are nursing. Hold on, I'm going to yell at myself later when editing this. Short sellers are nursing estimated losses of $19 billion in 2021 after betting on GameStop's stock to plunge. Said it perfectly that time. Short sellers have lost about $19 billion on GameStop in 2021. New estimates suggest. Let's see. Reddit day traders have sent the stock soaring by more than 15,000% this year. GameStop's rise has hammered hedge funds, including Melvin, Point72, and D1. Okay, I'll read a little bit from the article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but hedge funds and other institutions shorting GameStop stock were sitting on losses about $19 billion as of Friday. New data shared exclusively with Insider indicates. Figures from the data provider Ortex suggested that investors who had bet the share price would fall had been massively squeezed, with losses topping $10 billion on Wednesday alone when GameStop soared under 35%. Members of the Reddit forum Wall Street Bets have gone to war with hedge funds such as Melvin Capital this week over U.S. video game retailer.
Okay, you want me to sum this up really quick for you?
Go ahead, because yes.
Yeah, this is complicated stuff. I've listened to a lot of commentaries. Luckily, I went into it kind of understanding what was going on. I've had to wade through a lot of commenters that had no clue. Hate to throw any shade at Tom from Midnight's Edge, but he just doesn't care. But here's the basic breakdown. Okay, if you understand what a hedge fund trader is, okay, it's in a way it's a little bit like the producers. They're betting on something failing instead of betting on something doing well. Ordinarily, when you get into the stock market, you buy stock in I don't know, let's say Apple. You think it's going to do really well. You think the stock is going to go up, and sure enough, it does. And yay, you make money, right? Well, hedge funds are purchasing. They're purchasing against stocks they don't actually own. They're actually borrowing a stock from somebody else. Yeah, it gets very, very complicated. I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible. And they're betting that it's going to do poorly. Okay, so they end up making money on how much it loses, and then they sell it back to the person that they borrowed it from for whatever. Okay. So it's very much like the play or the movie The Producers, where you're expecting to lose money on it, but if you end up making money, or if the stock ends up going up, or ends up doing well, you lose money on it. And so what's ended up happening is these hedge funds have lost literally billions with a B on this stock, because a whole bunch of little guys, on Reddit said, you know what, these hedge funds are doing something that's it's legal, but it's pretty shady and underhanded. We should really send a message to Wall Street. Go buy stock in GameStop. GameStop, let's face it, GameStop is a company that should not still exist. It's a business model that is dying. It was dying before the coup. It was destined to be a loser to begin with. But if everybody who just got a stimulus check goes and spends their stimulus check on this stock, that stock suddenly becomes very, very valuable artificially. Nothing illegal about it. It's not like insider trading where they knew something about GameStop announcing something that was going to cause its stock to rise suddenly. It's just them, a bunch of people buying, and it raises the value of the stock. And if they were to buy it and then sell, they'd make money on the deal. But these people aren't doing that. They're buying it and holding on to it. And the stock just goes up and up and up and up and up. And meanwhile, the hedge fund loses money on the deal to the tune of billions of dollars.
Oh.
And now, oops, sorry guys.
It's all right.
You're getting some echo. Let me sorry.
I didn't hear
Technical
anything.
difficulties. Now we're seeing a peek behind the curtain as Wall Street and the powers that be are starting to scramble, because heaven forbid the little people take power for themselves. We've got to protect the elite hedge funds. And so they shut down trading, and you can no longer buy, you can only sell. And when you do that, you're manipulating the market. And a lot of people, a lot of legal experts are saying manipulating the market illegally. So now there is a class action suit against the app that they were trading through. It's going to be a very interesting case to see what happens with this. But this is Occupy Wall Street the way it should have been done.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, left and right, saying the way things are is BS. The politicians and the elite Wall Street, people are in cahoots, and it's time for the little person to start exerting their rights. And this is what we're talking about. The irony here is that the app that they were using is called Robinhood, because they were marketing around the idea of, steal from the rich and give to the poor. This is the poor person, the average person's opportunity to make money, right? And they are doing the exact opposite. They are falling down on the side of the rich to keep the poor down.
I have a question too. What does this say about the value of stocks in general right now?
I'm sorry?
What does this say just about the stock market overall? Are a lot of the stocks inflated?
Okay. So,
is this proof? What does this prove?
Now, Midnight's Edge tried to wade into this. Mm-hmm. And again, they wade into it. Midnight's Edge is a great source for, Hollywood business and behind the scenes and stuff like that. They're not necessarily the best source for what's going on in the business world necessarily.
Yes,
okay?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't mean to cast any shade at them. I'm just pointing out that they're not perfect. But they were talking about this, and they kind of got a little lost in the weeds on this, because they started then making the comparison to Bitcoin. Okay. And somebody pointed out, well, Bitcoin is just vaporware, right? It doesn't really exist. It really only has the value that people ascribe to it. Well, I'm sorry, but that's how business works. No currency for any country, no commodity, whether it's gold or grains or blue chips, none of those things have any actual value beyond what the market ascribes to it. Mm-hmm. Okay? If there is a Boba Fett action figure with a firing backpack, and there's only like 2 of them that exist because they were, prototypes, and they're worth, I don't know, you say they're worth $1 million because that's what they go for on eBay when they actually show up for sale. That's what they're worth. But ultimately, it's just a piece of plastic. It only has value because someone's willing to pay that for it. What is gold? Gold is just an element. It's more rare than lead, but it's good for things. It's a good conductor. It's necessary for integrated circuits and so forth.
It's pretty.
and it's pretty. It looks nice in a ring, but ultimately it only has value because you're willing to pay so much for it. Diamonds are not as rare as people believe they are. De Beers has cornered the market on it. So they've artificially inflated it. Everything in the world is only worth what you're willing to pay for it, and money and currency only has value because as a worldwide group we've ascribed value to it, and that's how the market works. And as soon as you understand that, you have your starting line here. That's what you have to understand going into this whole debate and this particular news piece.
Okay. I'm trying to think what I have to add to this.
I'd like to think that I actually provided you guys with some clarity on this.
I think you explained it better than anyone.
So
no, that's why
how wasted I am.
Well, this is why this was the first article we covered. Okay. No, but yeah, actually,
it's the most complex.
Casey Scott was saying though it's up to 70 billion now in losses. He was mentioning that earlier. Just I always
2021 we're already seeing it. This isn't even a prediction. I'm just calling it as I see it. 2021 is the year of the peek behind the curtain. It is Toto pulling aside the curtain so that you can see the guy pulling the levers,
yeah,
and one running things, because people are seeing the corruption in government, the corruption in business, in Wall Street, and it is for all the divide that we have right now, we're seeing a great deal of unity. The left and the right are both going, this is BS, and we need to do something about this.
Yeah. It just makes me wonder if everything could come down like a house of cards, but maybe I don't fully understand.
I think that's absolutely fair, Boomer. I think it's inevitable. I think that just like I was talking about how value is ascribed based on what people are willing to pay for it, it's vaporware, and that's what the market is. So yes, it can come down like cards. Just as we had a stock market crash, just as we have bubbles, just as we have real estate bubbles and so forth, people that pay attention to this stuff understand what can possibly happen. That's why everyone says diversify.
Yes.
Again, you know what? I need to do what all the other YouTubers are saying. Nothing that I am saying constitutes financial advice or legal advice. I know nothing and I'm drunk. Okay. So do not take anything that I say as advice. Just take it as a little bit of insight and make your own decisions.
Oh, but anyway, yeah. Have you ever shopped in the GameStop?
I have not. But I have heard enough about it that I never would want to. Their whole business model is, and this is the irony too, because they're just as bad as the Wall Street guys that people are trying to bring down, except on a completely different level. The whole idea, and I've heard people trying to explain GameStop as like a Blockbuster Video for games. That's not really accurate. No. What it more is it's a game seller that will buy back used games and then resell them. And the problem with that is they're giving like pennies on the dollar. You go in with your, I don't know games, but you go in with your used game,
your
and
Pokemon,
they'll pay you $1, and then they'll turn around and resell it for 20.
Yeah, and that's usually how it works. GameStop, I will say, could be useful to you as someone who might collect action figures, because sometimes if you go to their website, they're trying to liquidate that stuff, and you can get them for like a couple bucks. You can get some
this is the
figures.
One thing that I will say about, although I haven't purchased any, I haven't gotten into this. I do follow the toy market A lot of you guys know that. And there are some exclusive action figures that GameStop gets because they're action figures that are based on characters from games. So, for example, there are some action figures for Knights of the Old Republic, for example, that are exclusive to GameStop. That people really like, and you see some of the toy YouTubers talking about the possibility of these exclusives being re-released in the vintage collection. Again, I'm talking Star Wars because that's what I know. Interesting stuff. I think that's great. I have nothing against that. I'm not real into gaming, so I'm not looking for a Kyle Katarn action figure, for Star Wars or whatever.
Right.
But some people are,
Yeah. And the thing is, I can't really stomach walking into a GameStop these days. I used to back in the day. You have to understand that when I was growing up, I got my games from two places. One place was Electronics Boutique or Babbage's in the mall, which were originally supposed to be computer software stores, and they would also sell the Nintendo games, and Toys R Us. Those are the two main places I would get the games from. And eventually GameStop took all that over. And one of the things, it used to be like if you got the last copy of the game, you got the display copy, so it wasn't quite mint. The guy running the store might have taken it home and played with it, but they weren't into the whole selling of used games thing until later. That really came into play later, and it is kind of a sleazy business. I've known people that work there. I've heard some horror stories about stuff that goes behind the scenes.
But again, I'm going to say, understand what you're getting into. Okay. Look, and I understand the business model. Okay. I buy a game. The fact that I can get pennies on the dollar is more than just throwing it away or, throwing it in a bin and forgetting about it. I've got games upon games, sitting in my storage area that are just collecting dust. If I could get $1 per game, that's, something anyway. It's always about what people are willing to pay for it. And $1 is better than zero, right?
Okay, are you speaking hypothetically?
I am speaking hypothetically.
Okay, because I could tell you what stuff was worth if you did have games. But Artificial Joni, Andrew, will you play the She Shanty parody, the Tendy Man Comes? Is that dirty?
I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know. Mine now is not the stream is going to get shut down because I said that word probably. Okay. Anyway,
Tendy Man. Tendy
Man. Know. Don't keep saying it. Okay.
You say it 3 times and he'll show up.
No, you say it 3 times in the programming inside
the
my
stream
brain
gets shut down.
I'm a Russian spy, really. No, I'm a Russian spy, and I'll go assassinate someone.
This is why we pre-recorded the pre-show, and it's going out on Rumble because we don't have to worry about it getting shut down.
That's true because it's private. I used to go to GameStop for all my current gen games. Now I go elsewhere for my games. It's getting hard to find places to buy them because every place is bad.
Again, I don't know games, so I may be talking outside of my wheelhouse.
I do.
Forgive me in advance. But I still feel that my general rule applies. Own physical media, okay? Because I have downloaded games and been very dissatisfied, and I have no recourse. Whereas a physical game, I can go and return it and say I had a problem with it or whatever.
I hate to break it to you though, but a lot of modern games, not all, because I'm sure some games that ship on disc are complete. A lot of them they can ship not complete. You download an update for them, quote unquote update, and you get the game. What you're buying is essentially a key. Okay.
Let me say something I learned about gaming from Green Lion Girl, and if you're not subscribing to Green Lion Girl for her Wednesday night gaming, you really should because she's got such a cute accent. But besides that, her streams are just a lot of fun. One of the things that I learned from her is that, there's a lot of games apparently that go out and you can buy a brand new game and it's effing broken. And you're expected to, months down the line, download some online content to fix it. It's completely unplayable
that can
when
happen.
They release it. And it's like, how does this business model work? I don't even understand that.
Do you remember back? You probably know a little bit about video game history. The when Atari, the market crashed under Atari before Nintendo came along.
Mhm.
That all happened because companies were churning out games that were not working. I mean, they were unplayable. They everybody was making games and it crashed the market. When Nintendo came onto the scene, they had stringent quality controls. They said this game has to work. Every third party, you get 5 games per year, no more. You're not flooding the market with bad product. Okay.
I am
Yeah.
a strong believer in the basics of business, right? You provide a product that people want, great quality, good customer service, you will always be successful. If you deviate from that and mislead your customers, you might do well in the short term, but it's a recipe for disaster, in
What
my
you're
opinion.
what you're saying, and Auto Dread brings us up. Cyberpunk 2077. I know you don't follow games, but this was a game that CD Projekt Red, the guys that made the Witcher games, you know, the real popular Witcher games, they made a Cyberpunk game based on the old role playing game Cyberpunk. Do you remember that? Okay.
I've heard a lot of buzz about this. I know nothing about it.
They released it, and to be fair, even though you can play it on your new Xbox Series X and the new PlayStation 5, it was originally supposed to be released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One. It got released to market. I've heard completely unplayable.
Yeah.
Stutters, frame rates off. I've heard horror stories about how bad this was. It got so bad, Sony stopped selling it on the PlayStation Store. You can't even buy the digital copy. Okay, they said, nope, cut it off. Microsoft was offering refunds, so was Sony. Retailers eventually even started offering refunds because they realized this game is broken. You want a refund, we'll give it to you even if you've already opened up and played it, because that's how bad it was. And I think it plays all right on PC, but everything else, it's just maybe the high end new consoles.
This does not surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah.
This is not something that is unique to the gaming business. I see this in really all areas of business. This idea of putting out a product that is not ready for market because of the pressure. You know, people succumb to the pressure, get it out there. I don't care if it's ready to go. Boom. I was in I worked for a company. I'm not going to say who the company is. I'm not even going to say what area of business they were in, but they were switching their operation software to something that was specific to them. And I was on the testing team for it, and it was just not ready to go to market, but they were under so much pressure. They said, doesn't matter whether it works or not, we're going live on this date. And I was in their order management group, and we couldn't even enter orders. We could not do business because they made that decision, and it was a nightmare, and customers were upset. And my understanding is that this is way more common than it ever ought to be in business. It's not unique to gaming.
I had heard rumors in the background that the developers were under pressure. They were under pressure to get the release this year because of that had to come out this year before some kind of fiscal period was over. Okay,
there's a principle in business that there's 3 things that are required. There is time, there is money, and there is talent. You have to have all 3 to be successful. If you skimp on any of them, the overall thing is going to suffer. And if you push it, you're going to fail. And I see that so often. We want to do it as cheaply as possible with as little talent as possible and just get it out there. Okay. Guess what's going to happen? You know, it's kind of like Sesame Street. Do you remember Sesame Street? They had this segment, What Happens Next? You know, what happens next is, you know, whatever. And it was basically teaching kids, you know, basic thought process. Think about the circumstance, what happens next. It's really very simple. If you do this and you do this, what happens next? Well, you know, if you undersell us, if you aren't willing to put in the time and the money, you're going to have a product that fails. it should not be a big shock to you. But unfortunately, business keeps making the same mistake over and over and over. And again, this is not unique to gaming.
Okay. Well, it's kind of sad though, because at least for a long time, I thought that there were decent quality controls in place. It's really it started, I think, in the seventh generation when you got all the HD consoles and you could start. You know what it is? It was the internet, because you can now patch things because of the internet. The old consoles, they weren't connected to the internet, so if you released a really bad product on the shelves to begin with,
What a
you done stuff you
lazy
could fix.
idea.
Yeah.
I can put out a piece of crap because I can always patch it later. That is such a lazy way of looking at it. There is no care for doing something excellently. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm the boomer, I think, on this one.
No, it's fine, but I hear it plays fine on PC, so you're okay if you want to try it out.
Well, I hate to say it, but I'm the one who's I've never bought a console. I'm everything I play is on PC, so
Gotcha. Okay, but we have other stories to talk about tonight. I think this one's a little more positive. We have Godzilla versus Kong release date moves back a week.
Well,
Boo!
I don't know if that's positive or not, but
That's not positive. It's not
a week is
negative.
not a huge deal, right?
I know.
I did put this under the Streaming Wars holiday update or Hollywood update. This isn't, a big apocalypse kind of thing. When a movie is pushed back a week, whatever. Are we getting it a week earlier, a week later? This doesn't matter so much. I feel, Boomer, we almost have to lump this in with the second one. Godzilla versus Kong makes its HBO debut on March 31st.
Yeah, I'll post that as well.
And those two kind of go together because, again, we're talking about this, beer bug era where, studios are so afraid of what's going on with being able to go to public venues. Yeah, we're going to release it in theaters, but we're really trying to push our streaming service because we think that's the future, because we're going to be isolated from everybody. And that's the way the world is going to be from now
on. Yeah, forever. Yes.
Forever. I mean, I said this last year. I am not one of these conspiracy theorists who thinks that the beer bug is fake. It's clearly real. But when you really look at how virulent it is, how deadly it is it really worse than the common cold and the flu? People don't realize how deadly those things are to some people, that are in an at-risk demographic. Okay. Yeah. People die every year from the flu and the common cold, and people don't realize that because they get the flu and the cold every year and are just fine. That's great. You're in the majority that are okay. And that seems to be the case with this disease as well. But for political reasons, people have latched onto it and created public policies that are affecting business and lives. And we are where we are,
But I hear if you wear 3 masks, you'll be okay, and you may
you wear multiple masks, you'll be okay. You know what?
You won't suffocate.
I was just gonna say, Robert Barnes Law on the Viva Fry channel has made this comment. He said, hey, if you wrap your head in plastic wrap, you may die, but you won't die from the goof. You'll die from suffocation. So
I had a joke that someone would wear 3 masks, suffocate, die, and then it's like, oh, it's related to the pandemic. It's
right, it's related to the pandemic because you were taking precautions against the beer bug.
The thing
I can't believe I can't believe I lived long enough to see this kind of ridiculousness in the world, but we did, right? But that's the world that we live in. So Hollywood is doing what they have to do to try to survive. And they realize that we are now going to be confined to quarters for the rest of our lives. We are never going to be able to interact with other human beings. And therefore, screw the theaters. Let's all just focus on, streaming services.
Now it's funny. We were going to talk about this last week, as I said. Watch the trailer before the stream, and we did the stream. We talk about it. Okay. Did you think it looks good at least? Godzilla versus Kong.
I am not as big a fan of these kaiju stories as like Big Al is, but yeah, I mean, I saw because you made me do my homework last week and I watched the the trailer. Yeah, it looks like it'll be a good movie.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
But and in fact, I've even gone so far as to watch some of the YouTubers that have some theories about what's going to happen with the story. So I think maybe I know where they're leading to with the story, and I'm kind of excited about it from nostalgia, old kaiju storyline.
Exactly.
This is something Big Al should really be talking about more than us. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm going to fall back on what I keep saying about the streaming services. You have these big budget films that are not going to make their money back because you cannot make your money back on streaming services alone. And as long as Hollywood is focusing on streaming rather than the cinema model, we are going to see losses on these big budget movies, and we're going to start seeing in the future films that are much lower budget.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's almost like the Netflix plan that I'm seeing with a lot of the movies. Netflix. I mean, I'm sure some of them are higher budgeted, but I think some of them are smaller movies too, and they're saying a movie.
My fear is that we're going to start seeing movies like or I get maybe series like that Flash Gordon series that we saw on network television, where it was just, oh my gosh, there's no special effects. This is boring as hell because they have zero budget. It
had what's his name from Smallville, the one who played the guy that got killed in. They were the war in Malaysia, like Lana's ex-boyfriend, who ended up getting I forget what his name was. The one who was only giving Clark a hard time. He was Flash Gordon on that show. Speaking
of which, if you're a fan of Smallville, I got over on MeWe. I've got a group where I'm rethinking the whole DC universe, cinematic universe, based. The idea of an alternate universe where if Warner Brothers had started with Smallville and built their connected universe off of that, instead of never letting their P's and carrots touch and then starting their whole stupid Snyderverse. I got a group on MeWe where we're kind of imagining that. So
yeah, you did a neat stream on Friday too, a live stream about that too. Yeah.
And in 2 weeks I'll be doing another stream for another group where I'm imagining a world where the Universal Universal Monsters universe actually works if it had been done right.
Oh, I have some thoughts on that, but anyway,
please join us.
I may for that one, because I know when you mentioned DC, I'm like, I have no idea how to fix this. What
I did was I dropped the StreamYard link into the description, so anyone that wanted to join could join. And it was really just several people that were already in the MeWe group.
Yeah.
That we just kind of chatted. So if you want to join us, that would be awesome if you did.
Okay.
And I'll send you an invite to the MeWe group when I sober up.
But, okay, yes. Well, there you go. But anyway, though, I'll read a little bit from the article. Godzilla versus King Kong is on the move again. Shortly after Warner Brothers bumped up the film's release date 2 months than expected, from May 21st to March 26th, the studio has postponed its domestic premiere by another week. Now over you, March 31st, HBO Max. We knew that already. And let me see.
Can I share my Godzilla versus Kong theory? I mean, it might be a
Not
spoiler.
much to talk about here, actually. Yeah, go ahead and say.
It might be a spoiler. I don't know if this is true or not, but if it turns out to be true, it would be a spoiler. So if you want to, pause your video for 30 seconds or jump ahead or whatever. My theory is that this whole Godzilla versus Kong is going to be a moot point as to who wins. I think we're going to find out that this is going to be the introduction of Mechagodzilla. And it's going to turn out that Kong is actually fighting Mechagodzilla with like a biological skin. And it's going to turn out that another Godzilla or the real Godzilla or something is going to, I don't know.
They'll show up at the end and like, what's going on here? That ain't me.
Yeah. And this is based on some other YouTube videos that I've seen.
That would be a neat
and
twist,
what I've seen of the original videos and so forth.
He's like, what's her name? The girl from Stranger Things. She was in the last Godzilla, and she was like, he's not acting. He's acting weird. He doesn't act like this. Remember, she said.
I gotta say, I like Millie Bobby Brown, but I don't think she was used very well in this Godzilla.
Well, I don't know that any of the actors have been used well in the Godzilla movies. I mean, they had Bryan Cranston in the first one. He was barely in it, and then he disappears. It's
interesting. Interestingly, the YouTube videos that I've seen by people that know way more about this kaiju stuff than I do have universally said that they spend way too much time on the human characters.
Yeah, they do.
Not enough time on the kaiju characters.
We're here for the monsters. Let's be
right.
Honest. Okay. But we'll see.
I don't care that this is a world where Godzilla can exist because, it defies all laws of physics. Okay. We don't care about it. Doesn't need to be realistic. We don't need all that much backstory. Just give us the fight between these monsters already.
I liked the characters in the Kong movie, the Kong Skull Island, like the John C. Reilly character. I think because it was all kind of goofy,
Dude, don't even get me started. I love John C. Reilly. I love anything he is in.
Yes.
He is very much, though, however, balanced out by the fact that Brie Larson was in that movie.
Yes, what's funny, I didn't even know. I said, who is that? Brie Larson's look seems to change over the years. Like she looked completely different at that than she did on like United States of Terror when I think I saw the.
You know why that is? Nobody knew who she was back then. Now people know who she is, and she should just go away.
Yeah, well, that would be nice, but
my opinion is not necessarily that of the Aged Boomer channel. Just making that disclaimer.
Anyway, more Warner Brothers streaming news. Well, yes, because I love Brie Larson. Anyway, no, okay, I'm kidding. Warner Brothers 2021 trailer.
She's one of those actresses that you can think she's attractive until you find out more and more about her, and the more her personality comes out, the less attractive she is.
Believe it or not, even when I watched the Unicorn Store, people think, oh, you just were trying to bash it. No, I went into it with an open mind and thought maybe this will be a fun comedy, and it started out okay, and then like 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh no, this is getting worse. Okay, and it's exclusive on Netflix, though, if you're a subscriber. Okay. Anyway, Warner Brothers trailer debuts Sopranos prequel footage. Dune's still set for HBO Max. I am very excited about the Sopranos prequel. Okay,
so
I am a Sopranos nut. Okay,
I may have a unique take on the Sopranos, maybe because my last name ends in a vowel.
Yeah.
When I saw the Sopranos, I had a very personal relationship with that show. Mm-hmm. There were characters in there that reminded me a great deal of my family members.
Yes.
That was just bizarre. I'm trying to temper what I say here. I'm trying to be very careful about what I say. I have family that very much resembles the storyline of the Sopranos. I know people that
owned an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. There you go. That's probably a good way to, and you can interpret it that how you want to.
Or worked in waste management. Okay, there you go.
but the main storyline aside, just the characterization of some of these people was so much like my family. I found myself laughing out loud, and I would. Nanette obviously did not grow up with me. She doesn't know my family except after we got married. So I would say, oh my gosh, that particular character, just like my Uncle Richard, just his mannerisms, the things he says. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. And she would ask me questions, and I'd be like, oh, you kind of have to understand Italian American culture. Italian American culture is very different from true Italian culture. I'm sorry, Italians out there, Italian Americans.
Well, they show that on the show too when they go to Italy. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, I even had to explain to Nanette that the culture that you see in that show is very much a New Jersey, New York type of Italian American, which is also different from a Chicago Italian American. Just in, for example, eggplant parmesan, okay, they call it moulignon, and my mom and grandma always called it moulignon. It's a minor thing, but it's enough that would immediately, for an Italian American, oh, you're from Jersey, oh, you're from Chicago. Those kinds of things. I'm sorry. I've kind of got off on a tangent, but I'm basically getting at, as an Italian American, I love that show, but that was so long ago. I'm going to have a really hard time relating to something new that's a prequel. That being said, the one image that I saw, this kid that's playing the younger character, oh my gosh, he looks just like him. I mean,
he's the son of James Gandolfini, Michael Gandolfini, and they say
is he? That explains a lot.
Yes, it's in the article. Yeah, included in the Warner Brothers 20 is the David Chase's high anticipated Sopranos prequel.
Basically saying I didn't do my homework because
many saints. Well, that's why you have me. I make sure I do the homework. You did the homework on the GameStop, so that saved the bacon. My bacon, okay. Stock market.
See how it works, people?
GameStop.
I'm not doing my job.
Anyways. But it's it's going to be Michael Gandolfini, son of the late James Gandolfini, and they were even saying like his mannerisms are
great casting,
very similar to his dad's.
I see myself doing and saying things like my family. If I was cast, I've had family members who have said, "You look and act just like your Uncle Richard," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can kind of see that. That kind of makes sense to me."
Well, Sopranos is a personal for me too because it takes place in New Jersey, and I know those areas. I know.
Oh, really? I didn't know that about you.
It is so accurate to New Jersey. Whoever wrote that gets New Jersey. Okay, it is very accurate to the area. All the little details. You hear little details, and a lot of people miss. Like they said, "Oh, you were doing an internship over at Plays in the Park." I know what Plays in the Park is. Someone doesn't live in New Jersey may not know. That's at least put
those kinds of lines just went over my head, and
but they're in there very accurate to the New York, New Jersey area
and yet I would hear a line like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go over to their house. I'm gonna bake a ziti for them," and I'd be like, "Oh gosh, that is so Italian."
That's nice. Someone come to my house, bake a ziti for me. Anyways,
if I could trust the U.S. Postal Service, I would bake you one and send you one.
No, don't be trusting them right now.
You can't.
Maybe in 10 years. No.
I sent my mom some. Well, actually, Nanette sent my mom some cookies for Christmas, and it took how long, Netter?
She didn't get them until January 6th.
January 6th, we sent them weeks before Christmas. And I was like, "Mom, don't eat those cookies. They're not good anymore." Unfortunately, she did eat them. She said she liked them. Apparently, she didn't get sick. I'm like, "Mom, you're crazy."
Oh man, though, but I want to mention something else though. You ever want to have fun Go on YouTube and watch some Sopranos clips and look at the comments under them. You will see the meanest, like bitingly funny but mean comments about the characters on the show.
How do you mean? Can you give me like an example?
Okay,
Even a generalization?
I'm trying to. Let me see if I can find one that's clean. Okay, yeah, I'll find one that's clean. Okay, there's a character on a show called Beansy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and Beansy in season 2 gets beat up pretty bad and then run over with a car a couple times and stuck in a wheelchair by the brother of a guy, one of the guys that ran the New Jersey Mafia. Okay, and in a later season, Tony's visiting him in Florida, and the wife is there, and the wife is saying, "Okay, goodbye, honey. I'm going off to the card game." And someone writes in the comments underneath, "She ain't going to no card game." Insinuating that she's cheating on her husband because it's so mean. It's just all the mean comments in there. The stuff about AJ. Like AJ didn't know what gutters were and everything else. But
I want to use this as an opportunity to point out, okay, I'm Italian. Surprise, surprise. The Pacelli name should kind of tell you that. I'll tell you, you would be really hard pressed to offend me by saying anything about my Italian heritage. I look down on any Italian that gets all SJW about.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that any Italian that does is just doing that as a reaction to, you know, the SJW culture. They're almost being satirical because, you know what? Excuse me for using these terms. I'm sure that nobody cares about these because they're not the SJW talking points. Italians are not a protected culture, but you use the phrase guinea, you use the term WAP. I don't care. Okay. You can call me that all day long and it's not going to bother me. I honestly don't. My mom is the same way. My grandmother was the same way. It's like, you know what? Whatever. You know, we're not that thin-skinned. Okay. We kind of took pride in that. The fact that we live in a world where there's certain people that are, I guess the phrase these days is snowflakes.
Yes.
You know, actually, this is an interesting storyline. They actually covered this a little bit in The Sopranos too.
Yeah.
You know, this whole idea that, you know, Italians are like, I don't care. You know, I'm much thicker skinned than that.
This reminds me of when I was in a screenwriting class once. And I'm going to use one of those words you mentioned. Okay. We had and he was an Italian guy, right? Who, you know, like yourself. And he was telling us how to write a screenplay. And he was saying, now, this is when it's okay to use these words and when it's not. Okay.
Okay.
If you write in the dialogue, you greasy wop bastard, that's fine. Okay. Someone calling that. If you say if you write in the description, the greasy wop bastard walked to the other side of the room, that's not okay.
Okay. Okay. No. That's fair.
I thought that was funny though, just
because the difference between the dialogue and the out of character description, right? No. I get that because it's the spirit in which it's intended, right?
Yes.
I think that's something that people don't understand.
Yes.
This whole SJW concept misses the intent. Okay. There was a story a while back about a Disney employee who was African American who said something about being the N-word in the room. I'm sorry. He is talking about himself. He's using the word. He has a right to use that word, in my opinion. And he got fired for that. And it's like, wow. Do you understand how ludicrous that is?
Well, the same thing happened with that writer on Star Trek Discovery.
Yes.
Same thing. Someone complained to HR or whatever, and I think that's, I mean, I don't.
Oh, you offended somebody, so we got to fire you. What is wrong with you?
I know. But that is what's being.
Anyway, I don't mean to speak for all Italians, but when it comes to me, You can use whatever derogatory term you want about Italians. It's probably not going to offend me in the slightest. At the very least, I don't care what you think. At the most, I'd be like, what's wrong with you? And I'll laugh.
I've always been envious of Italians. They always make the best food and the best movies. So I mean, that's always been my opinion. But
I never thought about that, but you're right.
no, I love Italian cinema. I love the pop Italian cinema of like the 60s and 70s. It's like
Heck, even the best westerns came from Italians.
Yeah, no, that's part of that. Yeah. Oh, there's a funny line in that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie where Leonardo DiCaprio character, he's talking to his agent. He's an American Western star. Says, I want you to go over to Italy and make some Westerns over there. And he's like, I'm not going to Italy and making some Italian Western. And he gets all angry. Of course, he ends up doing that anyway in the movie.
I do want to address Brian Gilmartin, if you don't mind.
I'm part Irish. That's why I put that up.
I'm of Irish descent, and I love the joke that a 7-course meal is an Irishman. For an Irishman is a 6-pack and a potato. So in other words, he's basically saying, look, I don't have a problem with you making the drunk Irishman joke. Brian Gilmartin, I haven't mentioned this. People just assume I'm Italian because of my last name. Actually, my last name was not Pacelli until I turned 18. When I was 18, I was emancipated and I was able to take my mother's maiden name. Prior to that, my name was Collins. My dad's name is Tom Collins. Yeah, make of that what you will, but he is Irish. So technically I'm half Irish, but I focus on the Italian side.
Well, it's like me too. I mean, oddly enough,
Probably
I look Irish, but the ethnic side of my family that I'm most familiar with was the German side, but it's the German American side, obviously, not the German side. Yeah, no, nothing. No, we were well in this country way before the wars. Even the First World War happened. My family was in this country. I don't know.
Hey, let's be fair here to Germans, okay? Okay, German is a nationality. Something happened, I mean, heck. The Italians were involved in that war too. I mean, so
well, to be fair, anyone's capable of going down that dark
right?
road. Even we Americans, if we're not careful,
do not associate Germans overall with the National Socialist Party. That was a very specific slice of history. Yes, I understand that's problematic these days. It happened. It's history. Get over it. Let's continue.
Oh, Wolf 10 Media says he doesn't use that word himself, but I'm not going to police my own people who will. It's up to them if they want to stop using that word. Yeah, okay.
Gosh, you know what? Every time I see a comment from Wolf 10 Media, it just endears me to him. He is, I have said it before. I want to say it again. He's my brother from another mother. He is... I just feel such a kinship to him. I really do.
That's what my friend Emilio always calls me.
Brother from another mother. Yeah, although I say this about Leia plus size, she's my sister from another mister.
Oh man, though. But anyway, though, not to get off track though. What kind of cookies were those that the net made again?
She makes all kinds of cookies. What are we talking about?
The ones you sent out, were those Italian cookies?
Oh, she sent out these ricotta cookies that my mother had actually sent me the recipe, or actually sent Nanette the recipe for, and Nanette was like, well, I've got to make some and send them to mom, right? She didn't know that the USPS would take forever to get them to her. But oh my gosh, they were so good. There's a little bit of an almond flavor to them, but they're made with ricotta cheese.
As long as it was cold when they were shipped, right? Should be fine.
Actually, it's a good point. I mean, that's what my mom said too. She's like, these were pretty much frozen the whole time. I'm like, as long as you don't get sick and you enjoyed them, that's fine, but I would not have recommended it. But yeah, that's what they were.
Anyway, we were talking about, but basically, did I get off track just talking about The Sopranos? I'm already trying to get to the Dr. article.
Dude, I'm two doubles into this stream. I
Whatever.
am not the right one to ask.
Okay, but I'm saying that AT&T complains that the hybrid release of Wonder Woman 1984 over Christmas helped HBO Max double its activations to 17.2 million in the fourth quarter of 2020. That we were correct in that prediction, that this is why they were doing this. They were trying to bump that up to impress the investors.
Dude, that's because we know our stuff.
Okay, every Warner Brothers
People
movie
should be listening to us.
open in theaters. I am interested in that Sopranos movie, but again, I would have rather seen it.
Is it a movie or a series? I didn't catch that.
It's a movie. I think this was going to be intended to be released in theaters. Because think about it. Even if you haven't seen the series, you can watch the movie because it's a prequel, right? Because it's about him as a young man.
Right. You don't need to know anything, because
Just Sopranos. Just watch those clips, though. Oh man. Okay, but there is a rumor going around about a show that at one point was near and dear to our hearts, and a show that we typically don't like to talk about on here, but it's in the news. The BBC might axe Doctor Who.
Look, I have said this many times, and I've gotten a lot of pushback on this, but there is a reality to the fact that if something doesn't make money, if something isn't popular, it can't last. And this new Doctor Who, with the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, to use the phrase promoted by Nerdrotic, is not popular. And it's not popular not because it's a female doctor, but because they decided to go so woke with it. And this is even more important, that they decided to crap all over continuity, that no Doctor Who fan really likes this show. So
technically, the Doctor is not even a Time Lord anymore, right?
I don't even want to get into it, but yeah, there's this whole concept of the timeless child and whatnot, that the Doctor was.
What is the Doctor at this point? That's what I'm wondering.
I have no freaking clue. It makes no freaking
Well, we're going to
sense.
answer that in our new season. It's going to be captivating, and you're going to be completely disappointed.
But what it comes down to is everybody has walked away from the show because it is not the Doctor Who that we have watched for 60 years. I mean, is that right? 60 years?
It was came on in 1963, I believe. Yeah, it was 1963. I believe that's when it aired.
50, 60 years, whatever it is. It's before my time.
It came
I'm
on.
an old fart. I just celebrated my 50th birthday, and this is a decade before me. So I guess 60 years.
I think it aired around the same time as the Kennedy assassination.
In fact, it was meant to come out on the day that Kennedy was assassinated, and they held it back a week because of that. You're absolutely right. Good point, Boomer.
There's a fascinating movie the BBC made about the making of Doctor Who. The first episode, remember, where it was like it was a movie about when Doctor Who was first made. And, you learn a lot of interesting things, like it was an American producer that got it off the ground. That's not talked about now because Americans. And he wanted a woman to be in charge of it too. He put a woman in charge of it. Okay,
and she did a fabulous job.
And an Indian man was also helping out a lot with it. British and Indian British, and I mean, the stuff was around then. These stories don't get told, but
if you're a fan of Doctor Who, this history is incredibly interesting. I suppose if you're not a Doctor Who fan, who cares? But it really is a good story. And you're right. They did this great special on the BBC about it. Oh my gosh, good stuff. But when you have 60 years of Doctor Who and canon and fans, and you crap all over it, you should not be shocked when people rebel against it. Nobody cares about Doctor Who anymore. None of the fans are watching it anymore. There is a small slice of people who are these SJW feminists, and when I say feminists with a bit of snideness, I'm really talking about fourth wave feminists. I'm not talking about the Gloria Steinem's second wave feminists,
Right.
who I have actually grown to have a great deal of respect for. I'm talking about the modern feminists who are out of their freaking minds. Okay. Where you can just crap all over everything and all over history and all over storytelling because it promotes feminism and that makes it good. Screw you people. Okay. This is why Doctor Who is dying. And this is why the BBC has at least floated the idea. And that's what this article says. This is on the table of discontinuing Doctor Who altogether.
I mean, want me to read from the article?
Please.
A brand new Doctor Who rumor claims the BBC is thinking about axing the show. The rumor comes from YouTuber Gary Buechler. Hope I said that right. Of
Gary
Nerdrotic.
Beagler.
Gary Beagler. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him a lot. Okay, and he revealed
You're a
it
fan
on
of his. That's the only reason I corrected you on that.
He's the one with the stuff all on the walls, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and he revealed.
Man, he's got some great toys. Oh, that alone excites me.
He has those what were they called? Fig pins. I thought about getting into those, but I didn't. They were these neat like laminated pins of characters from like games and cartoons and comics and stuff.
Yeah, that one I don't get, but he's got the action figures hanging on his wall that I just
they're really nice pin. They're really nice, like large, like those large pins you used
I
to
have
get.
never commented his videos or anything about it, but I watch his videos and I'll see like an action figure in the background. Oh my god, oh, he's got one of those. Oh, that's so cool.
Anyway, according to my source, Doctor Who being canceled is on the table. According to my source, it's on the table. Yikes. This rumor from the erotic follows one from British tabloid The Mirror that claimed Doctor actor Jodie Whittaker would be quitting the show 3 years after she took on the role of the Time Lord. Now, that isn't actually surprising to me because most of the modern Doctors don't usually go past 3 seasons.
You're absolutely right. And this is
send-off.
A lot of commenters have pointed this out. This is not three seasons is about standard, but behind the scenes there's been a lot of talk about the fact that her publicist and agent has been saying, get out of this. This is a nightmare for your career. Get away, distance yourself from it. So I don't know why she has stayed with it as long as she has, whether she was being obstinate, keeping, following along with contracts. I don't know. But she's done it for 3 years and she's probably like, okay, I'm done. Let's go on to something else. And I have no strong feelings about Jodie Whittaker herself. She's an actress who played a role. It's the role I have a problem with, not her herself. I don't have a problem with Doctor Who being a female. We already have established the fact that the Master was female and done very, very well as a female. I loved that incarnation of the Master. I had no problem with it. I had no problem per se with the Doctor becoming female if they had worked that in as, explained why. If it was like, oh, because the Master had been female, I started thinking along those lines. There was some reason that they explored, but no. They didn't bother with that. It was just surface level. Doctor is now female. If you don't like it, you're an istophobe. Screw you. And the fans said, fine, we're out.
In order, this is a big change. And in order for them to get the people to the Doctor Who would have had to have been better than it's ever been. You needed
All
top
of this
writing.
is irrelevant, however, in terms of this storyline that they introduced with the Timeless Child. This idea that the Doctor isn't even Gallifreyan and completely rewrote 60 years of freaking continuity. You don't have a show that is this successful with 60 years of continuity and throw it in the trash bin and say, nope, we're doing something completely different with it, and not expect your fans to go, okay, middle finger, goodbye.
Ryan Johnson did.
Yep.
In a manner of speaking, I mean, they
I
took
would say this is even more egregious.
probably,
okay?
yeah.
Because it's so much more continuity, so much more canon, so many more fans for such a long time over so many generations.
I mean, and the Doctor Who has had some continuity errors before, but they usually explain them. They're usually careful about what they do. Regeneration was
Yeah, they're
brought in
usually
at the
pretty
end of
clever
the
with
third
it.
Doctor,
They play
and it made
around with the
sense.
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
They like I did notice one thing in the Tennant era, which always bugged me, that TARDISes were growing. I'm like, no, they weren't. They're built. Okay, but anyway, that became a thing with the Davies thing. Let's make it
But
more
you know what? It
mystical.
doesn't matter. It doesn't
go, though,
directly
because-
affect anything,
Yes.
and you can believe what you want, and they never took a strong stand on it, and that's fine. But you know, this whole idea that they're completely rewriting the story, that's a problem. When we have wikis dedicated to the history of the Doctor and how many doctors there were and how long they were the Doctor, how long they lived, and so forth, because there's a lot of Doctor story that isn't covered within the span of a series, right? A Doctor can exist for 1,000 years, but we only see 3-4 seasons on screen.
Yeah, and then
without going too far into the weeds.
Then you can do radio shows too, or like the Big Finish productions,
Big Finish and so forth. I'll tell you what, Doctor Who is and one could argue this about Star Wars too. Their whole expanded universe.
Mhm.
You could debate what is and is not canon, but most people agree that whether you accept the extraneous material as canon or not, it doesn't hurt anything. It fits. It works. It all works. Or none of it works. You don't have to accept it. That's not so true with Star Trek, but with Star Wars and Doctor Who, it totally does. And when you come along and you decide, you know what, I'm the new showrunner and screw 60 years of history, I'm going to crap all over it. Yeah, you can expect every single fan to abandon you. And that's exactly what's happened.
You and I are on the same page with Star Trek, actually, that I think that Star Trek, I don't know that it just depends if you get the right person. I think Star Trek could survive the mess they've made. And for some reason, I don't feel the same way with Doctor Who, unless they were to do a hard reboot. And then I'm
here's what a lot of fans are saying, and I tend to agree with this. Mm-hmm. Doctor Who can fall back on the whole wibbly wobbly timey wimey thing. They do have the opportunity for someone to come along, a new showrunner, someone other than Chin Balls, somebody else has to take over and say, you know what? We're not going to, retcon Jodie Whittaker and take her out. She's fine. She's the next Doctor. Okay. But she was lied to. Because guess what? The master, the villain, he lied. And it's not what he said. He's the timeless child, or someone else was a timeless child.
I heard
or it was a bunch of bull crap,
I heard the actor they got for the master was actually pretty good in the Whittaker era. I haven't watched it, obviously.
I don't know his name offhand, but yeah, he was good. He was okay.
He almost reminded me of I don't know, from what I saw, I almost wonder if he was like the original, like Roger Delgado master. Something about him reminded me of that. But
yeah, I get that. Now, coming off of, I'm forgetting the actress's name who played the Doctor before him, or excuse me, the Master before him.
Sims.
No. Sims. It was after Sims. I want to say Gomez or Gonzalez or something like that.
Oh, wait a minute. Michelle Gomez. No, not Michelle Gomez. Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to get picked on. What's her name? You mean the actress, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll find out for you real quick. But here's Leia Plus Size made a point. I kind of felt the same way about the Doctor becoming a woman.
Michelle Gomez.
Michelle Gomez. I was right. Okay. All right.
Michelle Gomez.
But she was but
she was freaking amazing.
She was incredible as Missy because I remember the original idea.
She may very well be my favorite version of the Master. Of course, I guess you got to call her the Mistress. That's why she's called Missy.
I looked at it as this when I first saw it. I was kind of like, "Oh, here we go. They gotta make the Master a woman now." But Michelle Gomez was so good that I forgave, and I'm like, "Well, the Master has been so messed up over the years. He was a decaying corpse.
Yep.
He was part cat. He was a clone of somebody else. I mean, it's. I'm gonna let this go with Missy and
right. And they played into that so well.
Yes.
I love the fact that she said something about being insane, and then someone said something, and she's like, "Hello, insane." It's like, oh, you are brilliant. Oh, not only is she playing the role perfectly, but she was written so well.
I remember at the beginning of the second season of Peter Capaldi where the Jenna Coleman character, I forget, but she,
the Impossible Girl.
Yeah, the Impossible Girl, yeah.
What's her name?
Clara,
yeah.
They, Unit got a message, and it was "You Blow My Mind, It's Missy," the song, and it's instead of "It's Missy," it's Mickey. And then Missy's back, and she's causing trouble because she's trying. And I thought that was interesting.
But wait a minute. I'm an istophobe. I hate women apparently, right? Because I'm a white male, and no, the fact that I love Michelle Gomez as the Mistress, doesn't mean anything. Screw you, BBC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is getting off on a game talk about orders. I hear you. I remember a lot of NPCs were pushing for a female Link, and Nintendo's like, nah. It's like they overlook Zelda since she doesn't fit their agenda. The Legend of Zelda games and the original games, you're a Link, and you have to, at the end of the game, you have to save Princess Zelda who's been kidnapped by the bad guy. But they've really expanded on the Princess Zelda character over the years. Okay. And she's a great character in her own right. And one of the things, too, at least, I mean, I think she was even fighting in one of the more recent games, but like in a lot of the other games, one of the reasons she didn't go out fighting alongside Link or doing the questing is she has a kingdom to run. Okay,
Well, without getting too far into the weeds, you have to deal with the fact that there's a role to be played in every narrative.
Yes.
There is the hero. There is the person being saved. There is the villain. There is the whatever. And they could be any gender. Okay. Get the F over it if it happens to be the female who's being saved, because that has historically been the role. Because sometimes it's the woman who's the hero saving the male. Looking at things like Wonder Woman, for example.
Exactly.
Okay. Get over you. The fact that you are focusing so much on things like gender and race and so forth. You are the istophobe because you are so focused on it.
Yeah. But so what do we think though? Doctor Who chopping block? I think so. I'm wondering too.
Yeah, coming down to the nuts and bolts of it. That's the story that's out there. I think that absolutely the idea that the BBC is considering that, they're in a bad way right now, because they're in a situation where they used to be they were making their money no matter what, and now the British government has said, you know what, there's some people that are paying for the BBC license that aren't actually watching TV anymore. And so they should have the right to not have to pay for their license. So people are saying, screw you, BBC, we're done. And if you want to continue making money, you kind of need to start now. Now you don't corner the market. Now you can't make whatever you want and people have to pay you. Now you're kind of stuck. So this is the situation BBC has put themselves in. Now, I have a slightly different take on it than most of the YouTubers you're going to hear out there. Most YouTubers are saying, oh, yeah, they're going to cancel Doctor Who because of this. I think, I tend to look at history and use history as a guide. Back during the Sixth Doctor era, was it
The Sixth Doctor era, that was Colin
Sylvester
Baker.
McCoy? During the Sylvester McCoy era.
Seventh. Okay.
Seventh, thank you. I lose track of the number. During the Sylvester McCoy era, they decided they were going to, in quotes, cancel the Doctor, but they didn't actually cancel him. They just suspended him, and they didn't do a new season. And it was just left in limbo. I expect the BBC to do the same thing with Doctor Who. They're not going to have another season, and the next season is not going to have another Doctor Who, and the next season until they decide to start again. That's what I anticipate. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll just continue on and they'll throw in another Doctor and let the ratings continue to drop. I don't know, but
they need a completely new writing staff. They need to all be let go.
They need to get rid of Chin Balls.
He's part of the writing staff as far as I'm concerned, but yeah. Yeah.
I never thought I would say this, but bring back Moffat. I mean, Moffat wasn't perfect, but he was head and shoulders better than this dingbat.
Yeah, my issue with Moffat is that he would troll the audience on occasion, and that bothered me. Don't troll your audience.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And he would also do things like bring on characters that were supposed to be significant, and I'm like, I've never heard of them. Like I remember during the Matt Smith era, the villain in season 2 was a woman I think called Madame Bavarian. I think that was her name, and it's like, okay, she really hates the Doctor. I bet they're going to have an episode where she and the Doctor meet each other for the first time in a few episodes from now, and we'll see why she's the adversary. They never explain where she came from. Yeah, it's like
This is what I said about Moffat. Okay, Moffat was great, brilliant, even at individual stories. Okay, he was crap as a showrunner because, I felt like he just got stretched too thin. He couldn't handle it all. I mean, that's the only thing I can.
Because he was doing Sherlock.
I'll be on. Well, there's that too, which meteorologist Katie and I butt heads about this. I felt he screwed up Sherlock just as surely as he did Doctor Who, even more so. That bugs her, but that's a whole nother stream altogether. But
speaking of meteorologist Katie, so many phantoms, she will be on with Daniel Heron and I on Wednesday.
She is such a sweetie. I love her so much. I wish I could adopt her. She is just awesome.
But Sherlock has a big audience. I know that you didn't care for Elementary, but I actually kind of dug that show. I watched Elementary, but yeah.
Is that the American?
That's the American one. The actor was British who played Sherlock Holmes, at least.
Oh yeah, and I can't remember what show he was in before that. I really, really liked him in that.
I'll look it up. Because I'll probably want to check it out.
I don't like this whole concept of a modern era. Modern setting for Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But I kind of rolled with it. I have to tell you that those Elementary episodes I mentioned to you, they always turned out the same way. It's always interview the first suspect, they're clear. Interview a bunch of others. Oh, it was actually the first suspect we interviewed. That's the murderer. That's so many episodes were like that.
Dude, maybe I'm the boomer in this particular one, but I'm very much a purist when it comes to Sherlock Holmes. And if you like Sherlock Holmes, if you like, I don't know, Sherlock or Elementary or any of those, I encourage you to seek out the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
That was the definitive Sherlock Holmes for me.
I've heard that is the best. That is one of the best renditions out there. My mom used to watch it when I was a kid. I used to see it on TV because I never watched it myself, but I know they were always watching it when it was on. What was it? PBS? They show it on PBS. I think. I'm not
It
sure.
was on PBS, yes.
Oh, Lay Plus says, Troy, do you think that Chin Balls wanted to kill the show so it would get canceled and no one will like the Doctor you know?
No,
Okay.
I would say that the motivation for Chin Balls is the same that Kathleen Kennedy has. It's I've been given power and I want to push my socio-political agenda. And I don't care if I crap all over an institution as long as I can bring about social change. And that is absolutely not the purpose of entertainment.
Nope.
It is not.
It's to provide escapism. And I think your boy Zach was saying recently on his channel, he was saying escapism isn't escapist anymore. You're supposed to watch these escapist shows to escape from the troubles of your life, and now it's more troublesome than your
It's
actual
almost
life.
to the point where I'd be better off watching the news for escape
Or watching documentary series. I'm actually enjoying documentary series more than I am like the or even creative nonfiction, like the literary nonfiction, than reading the actual fiction stuff, because it's just everything lately is just.
I would encourage people to learn history and watch those historical documentaries. The problem is, unfortunately, if you do so, you will start to look at current events a little bit differently, and it'll be very, very scary.
It will be, yeah. Horizon Talker, watch yourself some Columbo. Totally different take in the murder investigation formula. I know what the Columbo formula is. I do need to. I think I even saw a couple long time ago. I do like that, where you know what the crime is and who did it, and it's like a reverse. Like and you're seeing him try to solve it. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like you already have the information up front, and then you're watching the investigator piece it together. That's an interesting idea. I do like the take on that. Yeah, but
and I'm sorry to let me just address Leia Plus Size. I say this, I think, almost every stream you're in, but I want to say it again. I so much love having you in the stream. You are like the greatest cheerleader. I super appreciate you.
Okay. But speaking of things we should probably be cheering, let me keep going, and we're going to miss Willow again. Okay. WandaVision. You were 4 episodes in. What do you think so far, WandaVision?
So we're not actually speaking to a specific article. We're just saying this is a show. It exists. A lot of people are talking about it. I got to say, I'm really enjoying it. I think I was very, and I'm still very trepidatious about the next iteration of the Marvel Universe, but I think they're going about it the right way. I think they're using WandaVision. I'm guessing that they're going to be using WandaVision to integrate the new acquisitions like the 20th Century Fox, the X-Men, and so forth. I think they're doing a brilliant job with it. My prediction is that they are using WandaVision as a reverse of the House of M. In the comics, House of M was Disney using Wanda to eliminate X-Men from the universe, which was them, putting the kibosh on 20th Century Fox and forcing them into a situation where they kind of had to sell to them. I think they're using WandaVision to do the opposite, where they're using the same basic storyline to instead incorporate the mutants into their universe. I'm basing that on nothing other than it seems logical. They haven't done anything in WandaVision with X-Men or mutants or anything like that. I'm just suspecting. But very, very Lynchian, very weird, strange, what the heck are they doing kind of stuff that I'm really, really digging.
It looks like they're each episode is at a takeoff on a different sitcom from different time periods on television.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your first episode was set in the 50s, very much based on like the
like Ozzie and Harriet, or like Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, Leave It to Beaver.
Father Knows Best, that sort of thing.
What's the Dick Van Dyke Show? very clearly
Yeah.
references to the Dick Van Dyke Show. The second episode was very much Bewitched,
That
or
makes sense. She has
uh,
powers, so
I Love Lucy. Yes, they totally played on that. You know, the whole, you know, Samantha Stevens kind of thing. The third episode was very much Partridge Family, Brady Bunch. In fact, even the house, the internal setup of the house was very much drawn from the Brady Bunch. And then the fourth episode, I hope I'm not spoiling anything for those of you that haven't gotten to the fourth episode. Fourth episode basically retells the first three episodes, but from the point of view of everyone outside of the world that you've seen in the first three episodes.
you think they'll do a riff on Three's Company? That might be the next one I do. But
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
yeah,
That might be a
if you're
lot
going
of
up
fun.
the sitcoms.
I mean, we're all kind of looking forward to that. At the same time, it's very much the Marvel formula where the comic book fans are going, "Oh, I think they might be doing this, but they're doing it kind of differently. I wonder how they're going to do this." It's really it's very exciting. But we also know that this is going to be leading into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and so on and so forth. So
Good. Get rid of Fat Thor, please.
please,
They
right?
alter the timeline, please.
I think this is a brilliant way that Marvel is kind of doing their version of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they're trying to incorporate all of the re-accessed franchises that they've had that they haven't been able to touch. How do we bring those into continuity? I think they're doing a pretty decent job so far. Who knows? They could misstep and step on their, you know, dangling participles, but for now they're doing a great job.
Okay. Well, like I said, what I've seen of it looks interesting. I actually am intrigued by it, and that's that. I like Elizabeth Olsen too, and I forget who the actor
She's a
is playing
sweetie.
Vision.
She kind of is, yeah.
And the actor who plays Vision, he's been with the MCU for a while. Wasn't he the voice of the Jervis before he became? Yeah, so
Which was all part of the whole origin for the character within the Marvel universe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I like seeing the two of them back on screen. I think they have good chemistry, and okay, so good for them. We have some Willow news though.
I'm going to let you go ahead and read the article.
Yeah.
I need to pull a Professor Geek. I'll be right back.
Cool, Professor Geek. Like I never have to pee. But anyway. Okay. Did he hear that? Okay, anyway. But yeah, casting choices for Willow. Kaylee Spaney of The Craft Legacy and Erin Kellyman Solo. I think she was the one that played the young girl revolutionary in Solo. I think she's on it. Our negotiations for the three female leads in Willow, Disney Plus, and Lucasfilm upcoming TV series follow up to the 1988 fantasy movie with the film star Warwick Davis reprising his title role. And I just hope he isn't drinking green milk. Anyway, I have learned the new incarnation of Willow comes from Jonathan Kasdan, who wrote the pilot and serves as co-showrunner alongside Wendy Mariclo, John M. True. But he's not directing the pilot episode. That's the other story. But we'll get to that in a minute. The series, which marks Lucasfilm's first venture into non-Star Wars storytelling since 2015, will take place years after the events of the film. It introduces all new characters into the enchanted realm of fairy queens and two-headed Eborsisk monsters. It's a dragon, okay? Anyway, I guess it's going to be following up on Alora Dannon. I know they did a book series about her. I don't know if we're going to be going with that storyline. And of course, the bad news is that Crazy Rich Asians director John Chu will not be able to direct the pilot episode because he stepped down from directing the pilot. Film America announced his exit on Monday afternoon, noting that he's heartbroken to step away from the project. Okay. So
Where
I just
we
found
at?
out. Well, John M. Chu. I mentioned the actors. John M. Chu is leaving the project. I should bring up the next article about.
Yeah, those two go directly together. Yeah.
Oh, I had an article on here too. I thought I had the article where the
We lost one director. We got a new one.
Yeah, Willow sequel finds new director. Following departure of Crazy Rich Asians director John Chu is Jonathan Entwistle, best known for directing the Netflix show The End of the Effing World, and I am not okay with this. Okay, I know nothing about that series. Anyone in the chat see that show? Can
No
verify
idea.
for its quality or not quality? I don't know.
What I will say is have a little bit of sympathy for Aged Boomer, because Aged Boozer over here, you drink enough alcohol, makes you go pee, and it disrupts
I mentioned
the
as you
flow.
were leaving, like Aged Boomer never has to pee. Okay, you don't think the watermelon drink goes right through you too? Anyway, I'm going to be done.
I don't
in
know.
20 minutes with its epic. You know what doesn't? Coca-Cola. That stuff will sit in you for a while. Okay. Anyway, but this is what Jonathan. No, hold on. With Jonathan Entwistle, Kazin's also mentioned here. Okay, Jonathan Entwistle said, "With its epic world of swords, sorcery, and adventure, Willow captivated and influenced so many." Entwistle said in a statement to the Hollywood Reporter, "I'm excited to be going on this journey and working with John and Wendy to create something that is both deeply rooted in the original film and also a fresh, funny, and charming addition to the beloved story. To be able to play within the world so painstakingly crafted by Ron Howard back in '88 is a dream come true for me." I have a comment. He sounds like he has the right attitude for this project, but we'll see.
See, here's where I come down on this. First,
Yeah.
how popular was Willow to begin with? I don't remember, a lot of marketing, a bunch of action figures, anything like that about Willow. It was a thing that happened, that existed. I saw the movie. I remember seeing it and thinking, why, Lucas, are you not making another Star Wars movie? You're making this junk.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe junk is a little
Fighting
bit
words here. Okay, you're one of those.
No. It was a good enough movie, but it was okay. I didn't feel like it was some
Here
kind
is
of
why
nasty.
people loved Willow back in the day, and I'll explain to you why I loved it too. Okay,
It's not like it was a trilogy.
It was probably intended to be The Hobbit, and if it had done well, we would have gotten a trilogy of movies afterward. Okay, it would have been like never mind. Anyway, because they did a book trilogy later on, from what I heard.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they did. They were written. I don't know if that's what they're basing the series off
Will
of
that
or
be
not.
retconned away, or is that going to be incorporated?
I don't know. They'd have to get someone else to play Mad Morgan, I guess. I don't know if he shows up again. Of course, Val Kilmer's not in the best of shape lately. But what did I want to mention though? Here's the deal. Back in the day, there were sword and sorcery movies. They were not necessarily of the best quality.
That's true.
I mean, I love Sword of the Valiant, but that was kind of done on a budget. And then you had like the stuff like Excalibur, and Conan the Barbarian, which were important films, but if you were of a certain age, you'd have to sneak and watch them. Okay, your parents weren't around. Okay, but like
and watch them over and over again.
Yes, but Willow was a nice, big budgeted, PG rated sword and sorcery movie that had kind of the same Lucas charm that we saw in Star Wars, and
True.
I did like it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I considered it a blockbuster at the time. I think when I saw it, I didn't understand this concept of movies bombing or not bombing. It seemed that everybody I knew liked it. And then years later, you get people saying, "Oh, you like Willow?" Like I realized people were split on Willow. People loved it. Other people hated it.
How did Willow do at the box office when it was originally released?
It didn't do well enough to get sequels, and I think it was planned to be a franchise thing. Okay, and I think what the idea was is that this would have been the thing Lucas was in charge of. Between the Star Wars trilogy and the prequel trilogy, would have had the Willow films. Okay,
you also have to keep in mind that for the Lucas fans, Willow comes out on the heels of Howard the Duck, and we're like, dude, just give us another darn Star Wars film.
Howard the Duck is when's the rewatch for that? I wonder, because the thing about Howard the Duck is
there is only one good thing about Howard the Duck. And we may as well just do a Back to the Future rewatch again.
Oh, she is very nice as the punk rocker girl.
Oh my gosh.
But what I liked about Howard the Duck, and I would argue this, I actually think the first half of Howard the Duck is actually fine. If they had just made it this weird 80s comedy about this alien duck on Earth out of place and trying to make his way, I think that would have been better. And then they had to go for the epic, the overlords, the dark overlords of Delgon or whatever are coming to Earth, and they went with that. And it changed the whole tone of the movie shifts right after that happens.
What I don't understand is why they haven't rebooted Howard the Duck in the post Guardians of the Galaxy era.
You know they're playing around with that idea. You know they're
do
talking.
it.
We do this or not? They could do it as an animated movie. Okay, they could do a Disney Plus Howard the Duck series. That might be the push to get me to subscribe. Would be the Howard the Duck
drink and the cigar and the oh my gosh, you know what? And you know who needs to be in charge of it? Frickin' Ryan Reynolds. He's the one who needs to be in charge of this thing.
Auditor Dredd. Oh, I may have to take you up on this. We didn't do the title thing tonight, and he says you could title the show "Boomers and Boozers."
Oh crap!
I'm gonna think about that.
I can't believe. Oh, you're right.
I'm gonna think about that. That's a good title. We'll see if it works for this.
No. Don't pluralize it. Boomer and Boozer.
Boomer and Boozer, maybe.
Boomer and Boozer. Yeah.
You know what I came up with that I forgot to mention to you. I was going to call the show.
Netter just gave me a dirty look.
The Loquacious Geek.
That is not going to be the title.
The Loquacious Geek. Well, that seems pretty highfalutin. I don't know.
Yes.
Are we setting ourselves up too high for that?
It's a bad title, and I forgot what else. And then I thought the Geek Squad, but that's been used.
That's already.
All right. Anyway, we excited for Willow. I think that this could be something that could slip under the radar, and maybe they'll just leave it alone, and maybe it can just be a good series. We don't have to worry about any BS. Okay. I'm probably being too hopeful, especially with the fact that it's a Lucasfilm thing. But people like The Mandalorian, maybe they'll leave this alone. Just make it a good, fun sword and sorcery series. Bring Warwick Davis back. New characters are fine.
I hate to say this, but I feel like it's the kind of thing that would actually lend itself better to some sort of a mini series on Disney Plus.
That's what it is going to be, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I misunderstood. Okay, well,
now you're fine with it.
Great.
Okay, you thought I was talking about a big budgeted motion picture? No, it's a Disney Plus series. Okay, speaking
is Warwick Davis involved?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm behind.
Paying attention. You are paying attention to your weird cherries.
I had too much to drink and I had to go pee.
This is half in the bag.
I'm in the middle of this thing.
Okay, I gotta pee too, but this is.
But it's your show. Your problem.
Actually, I do have an empty bottle in here. Never mind.
Oh, don't go out on me.
Oh no, let's not think about it. I'm gonna mute for a minute. Okay. Lord of the Rings. We've been this thing has been in the waste. We're doing this article tonight. We're ending with this. Okay. Lord of the Rings, new Amazon series to feature familiar characters. What?
I'm sorry, man. I look at this and I'm like, seriously, this is news. I mean. Shocker, we're gonna have all these characters in a prequel that are, these long-lived characters that we knew would be there, and this is news. But apparently, this is news. Okay. I'll read from the article while you're, running and doing what you're doing.
No, I have I don't have to pee just yet. I can hold it, unlike some people. Anyway,
screw you, dude. Okay. You're the boomer here.
Whatever. Lord of the Rings.
Well, fair enough. You haven't been drinking, so.
Can I read from the article? It's my show. I shouldn't be asking. Okay.
I don't care.
Lord of the Rings fans finally have some idea of what the new TV series will be about. The synopsis reads: the epic drama set thousands of years before the events of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and will take viewers back to an era in which great powers were forged, kingdoms rose to glory and fell to ruin, unlikely heroes were tested, hope hung by the finest of threads, and the greatest villain that ever flowed from Tolkien's pen threatened to cover all the world in darkness. Okay,
Yeah, so I guess a lot of fans are assuming that they're going to be drawing a great deal from the Silmarillion. No big shocker there. But there is concern that they're going to be taking license. Now, a lot of people, a lot of fans are taking solace from the idea that the Tolkien estate is.
Tolkien.
I'm sorry.
Tolkien.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Give me a break. I'm lucky
No,
I'd
I
be
used
able
to
to
always say
pronounce
it the other way, and
my
then
own name correctly at this
and
point.
then I see the movie, and he's like, actually, it's Tolkien. Oh, I'm sorry, Jr. I okay,
Whatever.
okay.
That dude's estate is saying that they're going to be very, very careful, very jealous of protecting the integrity of the canon and the continuity and so forth. I hope that's true, but there's a part of me going, they see dollar signs. I'm not sure. I think that the concern is going to wane and wane and wane, and we're going to get whatever we're going to get. I'm afraid that the Lord of the Rings franchise is going to go the way of all of our other favorite franchises at this point.
I would argue, though, with Lord of the Rings, everything's fine. Do you know why? Lord of the Rings is primarily a piece of literature written by J.R.R. Tolkien, and it doesn't matter what kind of, if they make a bad series, those books are always going to be immortal, okay? And to be fair, the Jackson trilogy, at least of Lord of the Rings, was excellent too. It's safe. So if Amazon makes a terrible series, I'm just going to ignore it and we can move on, okay?
Well, you could say the same thing about the Star Wars, sequel trilogy too. I mean,
Star Wars is odd in that is it just the work of one man, George Lucas, in which case, or is it a collaborative thing? Yeah, you have a point. That's a thing. Yeah. Should we even count anything that Lucas
I
wasn't
would argue that
in?
when it comes to Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
you've got fans that have, seen I don't know if you want to say an adaptation of it. It has had so much influence on so many other fandoms. The existence of Dungeons and Dragons,
yep,
is directly related to Tolkien. Now, there's been a lot of rights issues and fighting back and forth, but there's a great deal of overlap there, and
halflings as opposed to hobbits in D&D.
It's funny because in my Wednesday night D&D group, I've said we call them hobbits, and halflings is the derogatory term. And we're doing this at our table. It is our game, and nobody can tell us otherwise.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to call up the Tolkien estate this Wednesday night.
Yeah. Well, good luck on that one. It's not like we're publishing anything. Well, there's been talk about me doing a YouTube series about it and doing a web page about our D&D group that nobody's going to care about. So why am I even mentioning it? I don't know. Never mind. Go on with the story.
I think that's oh Lord. Beginning at a time of relative peace, the series follows an ensemble cast of characters, both familiar and new, as they confront the long-feared re-emergence of evil to Middle-earth. From the darkest depths of the Misty Mountains to the majestic forests of the elf capital of Linden to the breathtaking island kingdom of Numenor. To the farthest reaches of the map, these kingdoms and characters will carve out legacies that live on long after they are gone.
There is a concern that I have. On the one hand, I think most Tolkien fans know The Hobbit and the Ring trilogy and don't really know the Silmarillion. I mean, only the diehard truest of fans have waded into the Silmarillion and really dug into it, because that is some pretty thick story to chew on.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, part of me is like, well, this is a great opportunity to explore that and build on it. Another part of me, the more jaded 21st century Troy, is going, oh God, don't screw this up, please. So I don't even know what to say about this.
I'm not hyped for this show. I'm going to be honest with you. They're going to have to prove to me that I want to re-enter this world, because I was kind of disappointed by that Hobbit trilogy Jackson put out. Now, I do understand that a lot of the problems is that Warner Brothers or New Line did not give him the prep time he needed for it.
Yup.
And that came out in one of the one of the shorts about the making of it. They counted Guillermo del Toro's prep time as counted for Peter Jackson's, because he was getting ready to make it, and then the whole MGM fiasco happened, and he finally had to quit the project. They brought Jackson on, but they didn't give him that time back to prep.
For me, it's very simple. If you're going to bring somebody in to do something, there's a reason you're doing that. Mm-hmm. He is the go-to guy. He's the one who brought you success. You bring him in and you want him to do something, let him do his thing.
Yeah. And I also think the whole thing of splitting it up into 3 movies was a mistake.
That was
ridiculous. So I'm just not hyped at this point for more Lord of the Rings, because it's like,
The Hobbit, you can make an argument for making it 2 movies if necessary.
Yes. You could have done
or 1 3-hour movie.
What you could have done with The Hobbit is, how like the Lord of the Rings had special editions that really are about 4 hours long each.
Yes, exactly.
What you could have done with The Hobbit is just, we're going to make it a special edition and cut it in half, and you have 2 2-hour movies. I would have gone to see it, and I would have said, yeah, it would have been better if we just got it all at once, but I'll pay. If it's good, I'll just pay it and watch part 1, part 2, and then we're done at 2 hours a piece. Instead, right. they wanted a new Lord of the Rings, and you can't make a Lord of the Rings out of The Hobbit. It's not the same kind of story.
You don't make a trilogy out of a single book. Just the creation of characters that didn't exist really upset the fans. They didn't need to exist. This is especially coming off of the trilogy that dropped some characters that people loved. I'm okay with it, but I understand why people, Tom Bombadil and whomever, whatever. Okay. Look. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Peter Jackson argued, well, for all we know, they went to see Bombadil between the scenes. My argument was they're going to get things that got cut in the original Lord of the Rings movies, and
exactly.
You should still read the books, okay? You should watch the movie and read the books. I think they're good companions to each other, Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly how I looked at it. We have a trilogy of films. They tell the main story. If you want all those minutiae of detail, read the damn books.
Yeah, they're both rewarding experiences in the mediums they are in, and they also had radio dramas they did of Lord of the Rings, one for the BBC and one for America.
It's no different than when they did a novelization of Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars was a 2-hour film. And then the novel has lots of little details that weren't in the movie. It doesn't take away from, doesn't derail, but kind of adds to the details of the 2-hour movie.
I should read the novel and see if it matches up with the radio drama that was also made. I'm kind of curious about that.
You'd be interested. It absolutely does. Okay. In fact, if you wanted to go for story content, you got the movies for 2 hours. You got the novelization that goes a little bit more, and then the NPR story, the radio drama that goes even more still.
Excellent.
But it does incorporate a lot of those elements that show up in the novel that weren't in the movie. Yeah. I highly recommend, if you haven't listened to that NPR, and it's actually out there on YouTube. Check it out.
Okay. Well, listen, we're about time. We didn't get to the Tom Holland story about, or no, not the Tom. Well, he might be cast as Willy Wonka. Next week we'll start with that, and we'll also do anime getting banned in Russia. We will cover that at some point. Speaking of anime, Mr. Matchstick stream. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, episodes 1 through 4.
Yeah, he invited me on. I can't after having done this whole stream and
No, he's too. But it's
the rewatch. You know the 1 hour special that we just recorded before that. I've been streaming for too long. I can't continue.
I highly do recommend to you. I mean, if you
Please.
ever were going to get into anime, do check out Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. It's cyberpunk at its finest. Okay,
and I would say, you know, if you've enjoyed tonight's stream, go check out Mr. Matchstick. If you're into anime at all, he knows his stuff, and he's got some good content over there. Get over there right now.
Yes, and I also want to advertise though. Troy Pacelli, myself, Wolf 10 Media, I believe, will also be on there. We'll be on the stream on Matchstick's channel this Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look for it. We are going to be talking about. He's saying alternatives SJW. We're basically saying what entertainment is out there that has not been infected by all the rampant nonsense that we're all dealing with.
Stuff that you can enjoy without the cringe.
And I'm thinking it could be old stuff or even stuff that's out here now and currently being made that's still good and not soiled, if you know what I mean. Because like maybe the Godzilla versus Kong isn't soiled by this thing.
So you know? like we were saying, get over to Mr. Matchstick now, but also get over to his channel on Friday for more
subscribe
on that topic.
Yeah, because we're going to be there, and it's going to be an interesting stream. I'm very impressed by that topic, actually. I think it's something we should maybe do a little more, not be negative all the time if we can avoid it. I know it's tough, especially in this horrible entertainment day and age when nothing's getting made and we're stuck. Anyway, be positive. Speaking of positive, tomorrow, Sound Engraver, check out her stream. I believe it's probably on 9-ish. And other stuff going
Bible
on.
Geek, Fan Man, of course. Wednesday, we got soundtracks with Birdman and Green Lion Girl.
We're doing the first Harry Potter movie on soundtracks with Birdman.
And then Saturday over on Netter's channel for the rewatch.
I'm excited. What it is
300. Again? This 300 is Sparta.
You and Al need to act like Spartans during the stream.
You better believe we will.
All right, but listen, y'all have a good night. Thank you for tuning in, and we will cover that anime story next week because be thankful you live in the U.S. because you still get to watch your anime, unlike Russia. Okay, apologies to any Russian viewers.
For now.
Well, for now, yes.
It's going to become a Maristan, I think, if things don't change pretty darn quick.
Maybe so. Boozer and Boomer.
Boomer and Boozer. I'm good with that. Netter's not fired up about it, but I think that might be the way to go.
Netter's not fired up. We can discuss it, maybe. But Boomer and somebody else with a B, that might work too.
Hey, it's your show. You can call it whatever you want.
I'm not going to call you. You're not a boozer most of the time. Anyway.
True.
Okay. True. All right. I'm going to play the sound. Okay.
It's a shtick I do. You know.
I don't know what this is. This is a modern alarm. Let's see how this goes out. Oh, it's muted. I don't like that at all. Okay, end the stream. End the stream.